Hi friends. Man, it's been a while, hasn't it? I didn't get as many videos out as I'd hoped to this last month because I've been working on this project that's really consumed basically every waking moment of my life. One of the companies I work for has their biggest trade show of the year. Well, the trade show actually just went down this last weekend, but the preparation has been going on for the last couple of months. And since I was personally on the hook for all the photography, the video, as well as a fair amount of the 3D rendered imagery, I had a lot of work to do in a very short amount of time to make sure all the stuff was ready for them. It can be really draining to work on a large project with a firm deadline, and that got me thinking this weekend about some of the things that I've learned about taking care of myself when I'm working on these sorts of projects. Hi, I'm Jeff Lanctot with Creative Mindset. I'm a commercial photographer and videographer with more than 10 years of experience as a professional creative. My mission is to break down the tools and the mindset you're gonna need if you wanna take your creative ambition to the next level. If this is your first time here, go ahead and hit subscribe and don't forget to ring that bell so you don't miss a single video. When the deadlines start to crush us, it can be super easy to let the rest of our lives spin out of control while we desperately try to devote our full attention to whatever the emergency in front of us is. The problem with doing that as a creative is that when everything is out of control, it can become extremely difficult to actually be creative, which is usually the thing that got us the work with the crazy deadline in the first place. For most people, myself included, the first thing that gets chucked out the window when I'm under stress is self-care. And I get it. When you gotta try and fit 10 pounds of work in a 5-pound sack, it can be super tempting to cut corners. Some corners might need to be cut, but here's the paradox. If you take care of the self-care piece of it, it's likely that you're gonna be sharper, more present, and more able to do what needs to be done quickly and efficiently. So cutting corners when it comes to self-care can often lead to a massive decrease in productivity that's worse than if you hadn't ditched the self-care in the first place. So with all that said, here's what I recommend. You gotta eat well. When the pressure mounts, creative folks tend to resort to two behaviors with regards to food. Some people go for quick, cheap, and fast so they can get back to the work as quick as possible, which typically means fast food and a ton of sugar, a lot of fat and salt. Or they just skip eating entirely and try and plow on through getting as much done as possible. Okay, I'm not a health channel and I'm not here to preach, but neither one of these solutions is great in terms of our health. From a creative standpoint though, it's terrible for us. Our brains are not operating at their best if we're not taking regular breaks to just not think about the work. Instead of taking the caveman approach and just trying to grind it out, taking time to focus our attention elsewhere can actually recharge our creativity. In the same vein, and especially if your creative work involves a lot of sitting and staring at a computer screen, it's important to get some movement in. It can give our minds a much needed rest, get our blood pumping again, boost our endorphins, and help ease that physical tension that comes from being under stress. It doesn't have to be intense, though it can be if that's what you're into, but even just 15 or 20 minutes of moderately paced walking a couple of times a day, that can be enough. Next, get good sleep. Look, this human machine is not designed to work properly without enough sleep. This is simply a fact. You can subsist, but you're not going to be operating at your best. This isn't just me talking here, it's science. And listen, I'm not just talking to the old people like me here. Younger creatives may think they're capable of back-to-backing their all-nighters with Red Bull chasers and have no consequences for those actions, but it's really important to know. The body keeps the score. You may not pay for it today, but eventually neglecting sleep will cause problems and ultimately burnout. Okay, last one. Don't medicate to cope. Look, I get it. Putting away a whole pot of coffee and a 6-pack of Red Bull can seem like an easy way to get in the zone. I used to work with a guy who would go through multiple 2 liters of Diet Coke every single day. If you're using something stimulating to wake up or a depressant to wind down, then that could cause problems, especially on a longer project where the pressure tends to build as the project goes on. Listen, I'm not talking about cutting out that cup of coffee in the morning or grabbing a beer with friends here and there. I'm talking about the person who's pounding multiple Red Bulls in order to stay awake or needing something in order to wind down enough in order to sleep. All right, if you're seeing a pattern to all this, it's because there's a pattern to all this. The first corners to get cut are almost always those that give the mind and the body a chance to rest, which is proven to hurt our creativity, especially if we're on a project that's going to be lasting a while. If we're cutting these corners in week 1 of a 10-week project, then by week 10, you're going to be so burned out you can't even think straight. And that's no way to be a professional. Now, all that said, stress isn't necessarily a bad thing if we take care of ourselves at the same time. I talk more about how to avoid getting overwhelmed by creative projects in this video right here. Always remember, you matter and the world needs what you have to offer. Go after the life you want, my friends. You got this.